All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started today. So, this is our next edition of the Be the Difference series, and I'm so excited. We have Dr. Raj Basu with us, who is a professor in our management department and also the advisor to the President's Leadership Society in Tulsa at the OSU Tulsa campus. Raj, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
Great. Well, when I was putting together and thinking through this series, the whole idea is to help connect faculty, to connect people that are in the OSU family with our students, and just talk about what are some positive things that have been going on in your life. What are some things that we can be doing to make a difference? 2020 has been such a difficult year in so many different ways. And so definitely looking forward to your wisdom and insights today and the things that you can share with our students. So with that, I'll just start off and ask, Raj, how has your life changed over the past 6 months?
Well, I mean, first of all, I would have to say it's changed dramatically. The things I'm teaching my classes, but I'm teaching so much of it on Zoom. So I missed the one-on-one interaction with students. And you were, I hate to say this, but you were a student in my class. So it's a very interactive class, and I missed that part of the class. But I would say overall, it's, and I miss traveling. More than anything else, I miss traveling. But I would say overall, it's been very positive. And when we get to the discussion, I'll tell you why I feel so positive about it. The one thing is, and everybody's got to realize at some point in time, we will have, cure / prevention for COVID-19. It's going to happen. It's going to happen sooner than later. So it may be 3 months, it may be 6 months, but we're going to come to an end with, so I'm telling everybody, just stay positive. It's going to happen. It's going to be around the corner. It may not be next month. It may not be even early next year, but it's going to happen soon. But there's a lot of positive things we can do in the meantime.
Absolutely. And one of the things you brought up travel. So the difference this semester is, Raj, you usually come to my career readiness class every semester and talk about study abroad trips. And we have so many fantastic trips for our students, and those will come back. But I'm curious, have you had any trips that were canceled based upon the pandemic?
Yeah, I had 3 trips that got canceled. I had a trip to India in March. I had a trip to my Barcelona class in June, and I had a trip to Singapore and Bali in December, and all 3 were canceled. But here's the point I want to make. Will Rogers, and I'm going to paraphrase him. Will Rogers said, there are so many amazing places in America that one shouldn't be allowed to go to Europe till you've seen all that America has to offer. So and I haven't done a real road trip probably in 20 years, because I'd rather fly than drive a long time. And so I went on a Colorado road trip this summer. I'm going to a Texas Hill Country road trip over Thanksgiving. And I might do a Southwest Arizona road trip again in December. So I've been doing these road trips and I'm loving it. I'm loving stopping at diners and eating chicken fried steak or whatever the number one thing is of that steak, greasy hamburgers. But more than anything else, it's so gorgeous, so beautiful. I've had a great time. So I want to go travel again, but I really haven't missed my travel the way I thought I would, because there's so much to see here.
Absolutely. We've taken advantage of the same thing, which, fun fact, Raj, I've been in Oklahoma for, I think, 16 years now. And I still have never had a chicken fried steak. It's just something I haven't tried yet. But maybe on the next road trip.
That's like heresy. That's like saying that's almost as bad as being a communist.
Yes.
In America.
Yeah. Well, I won't even tell you about Whataburger, but that's not something that I've experienced much either since moving to Oklahoma. But we've done the same thing. We went to the Grand Canyon, and then we went to Yellowstone National Park.
I saw your pictures.
It was wonderful. It was beautiful. So
yeah.
I love the Will Rogers quote. We definitely have a lot of beautiful places in our own country to visit. But with that, I know you are a cultural enthusiast, and you're a foodie and you enjoy experiencing different cultures. So what are some things that you've been doing, I guess, to stay up with what's going on overseas, things that you've been doing just to experience other cultures while at home?
So here's the thing. Of course, it's more fun to be able to physically do it on your own, right? But if you subscribe to either Netflix or Amazon or even YouTube TV, there is so much cool footage of what's going on around the world. I mean, they're great travel shows. I love watching travel shows. So even when I am traveling, like in Spain, I will get on Netflix to watch a travel show sometimes when I'm overseas, because I'm always thinking about the next thing. So I would say, like, if you're really missing it, you want to travel someplace, whether it's overseas or here, plan your next travel. Get on YouTube, get on Netflix, and get on Amazon. There's so many great shows you can watch to get you really prepared for your whatever your next trip might be.
And no, absolutely. There's some incredible documentaries that are out there.
Oh, yeah.
So Raj, my next question for you then is, it's one thing to experience another country, but also the importance of being a business student and any student to stay abreast of what's going on all over the world. Right now, we have a lot going on in our own country. Some of us try to stay away from the news completely, but what are some things that we can do to stay abreast of what's going on in our own country, but also keep up with all the important issues that are going on across the globe?
Well, I'm assuming by and large that people are in tune with what's going on in our country, so I won't speak to that, right? You're probably watching news, whatever the news source is. But here's what I would say. If you really want to, there are two ways of looking at it. Is if you really want to kind of know what's going on economically and politically as a business student, I think that's important. To me, the very best source is The Economist, which is a magazine, even though they call themselves a newspaper. It comes out every week, and there is no better source, and it's very, very objective. But I think there is no better source of global information, what's going on politically, geopolitically, and economically around the world than The Economist. And it's always been my go-to source. Now, I think that's part of it. But the other thing I think is, it doesn't matter what your focus is. If you pick an international journal like National Geographic Traveler, that'll tell you about what's going on in all kinds of places. And, it's probably more fun than reading The Economist. It's not everybody's cup of tea. But I would say just hey, while you can't travel, go imagine yourself traveling, right? Just fantasize about travel. I promise you, it'll help you sleep better at night rather than thinking about COVID.
So let me switch gears a little bit. What's something that you've had that has had a positive impact on you over these past 6 months? What's some sort of pleasant surprise that you've experienced?
So this is not a surprise. It was very purposeful on my part. So I looked through my Facebook, and I have something like 1,100 friends, 9 of whom I actually know. So I look through my Facebook friends and say, who all are within driving distance, not just in Tulsa, because I live in Tulsa, right? People who are within 6, 7, 8 hours of my driving distance, who are really people I feel very close to, but I haven't seen in years, because we have friends like that, right? We know, and so I have this very good friend that I went to high school with, who lives in St. Louis, that I talk to every so often, but had not seen in 17 years. Wow. So I said, the heck with it. I'm getting in the car, and I drove to St. Louis to surprise him and go see him. And I think what COVID has allowed me to do is renew relationships that have always been there. And that in a very weird way, they're dormant but tight at the same time. These are people I like, but I don't talk to them as much as I would if they lived in town. And if they were in town, I probably would have dinner with them every week because they're such good friends. So it's given me the time to look through my book and say, you know what? I haven't talked to this person in a long time. I need to call him or her and say hello. And that is one of the most positive things that have happened. It has allowed me to renew relationships that have been laying dormant, but are actually quite strong relationships.
I feel like COVID has given us all an opportunity to connect with people, and you hear a lot of it through Zoom and things like that. You've been jumping in the car though, just to go see people. Have you felt safe? I mean, doing road trips and things like that. I think some people were not really sure what we're supposed to do, what things we're allowed to do. We've done some road trips as a family. Is that something you feel like you've been able to do well and safely?
Yeah, well, a lot of depends upon your personal comfort with what, the facts are the facts. So the facts are the same for me, and they're the same for somebody else who may be less risk averse and somebody else who may be more risk averse. Now, here are things I do. Every time I've gone somewhere to go visit somebody, I've taken a COVID test. so that I have a negative result before I go, so that I don't expose somebody else to a possible COVID situation, right? And I've always worn my mask whenever I am, so I make it a point that when I'm in public or when I'm around people, and especially when I'm around people who may be older than me or more infirm, I always wear a mask. I don't worry as much that I would get COVID, but I want to be just kind and generous to people around me and make sure that in case I'm asymptomatically this thing, that I don't give it to somebody else. So to me, the whole mask wearing thing is not as much about me as it is about everybody else. And this is a very tough time, for our country and for our state. And I want to do that. I think of that to me is patriotism, that I want to help other people out.
Dean Eastman talked about that as well, encouraging students, if you're going to be going home for the holidays, isolate, get a COVID test. I took one on Monday of this week because I was exposed, and today is Tuesday and I got my results the very next day. So very easy process, and something that we can all do to, protect those that we're going to be around for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the way I feel.
So what's one thing that you are looking forward to in 2021? Who knows what 2021 is actually going to look like, but let's say at some point, we're able to travel more and do things like that. What's one thing that you're really looking forward to?
Well, I think the one I'm looking forward to most, I'm going to travel, and I actually have planes and flights and this thing all booked. I mean, I literally have through 2021 stuff booked. So because I'm so optimistic, but the one that I'm going to, that I'm really looking forward to is my dad lives in India and he's 90 years old, and I haven't been able to see him. I was supposed to go see him in March and I haven't been able to. And he's isolated because he's 90 and, he's in a high risk this thing. So the one thing I'm looking forward to most is visiting with him. Oh. But really largely, here's what I'm going to do. Every person that I meet now, like I have to give them the elbow and I want to go hug people. And so of all the things that I want to do in 2021, I'm going to be hugging people. Like people I don't even know, they're getting a hug.
Look out. If you see Raj and he's in the business building and he comes up and gives you a big hug.
Oh, I mean, people at Walmart are going to be like, what the heck is going on? This man is going around hugging everybody.
So to wrap up our conversation today, Raj, and I appreciate so much your time today, what's one thing that you would share with our students? We are, right now it's October. We're going into the final stretch of the semester. What positive message would you leave them with to end the semester on?
So here's what I would say. Every other semester, you get to go out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights, or whatever nights you do, right? Right now, you actually don't have the opportunity to do that. I would say this is, if you're a great student, you're always going to be a great student and you will do well. But if you have not had a very good GPA, this is your greatest chance to do really well because you don't have anything else you could do other than study. Right? You really can't. You cannot go to a club. You can, most places are closed. If this, what I would say is put the time into study and get an amazing GPA, because you may not get this chance back ever again. This could be your last chance at a 4.0. Go do it now.
Go do it now. Because we all know that when things open back up, we're going to be a little distracted and we want to be out there at the club.
Oh yeah, we will be. We will be. I mean, this is your last, for somebody who's a 4.0 student, you're always going to be 4.0. But if you're a 2.8, this is your last chance. Go do it.
Go do it. Oh, that's great. I love it.